Good.
Yeah, this sounds good.
Yeah.
It helps a lot,
Yeah,
doesn't
it
it?
does. It does. Yeah. So, well, thanks for having me out here, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
First
Gawain.
rodeo.
The man, the myth, the legend is here. Gawain Guy.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, man. So, a lot of things we like to kind of do in the beginning of a
Yeah.
podcast is kind of tell us about your life. And you've got a very interesting journey from, coming to, leaving Jamaica and coming to the U.S., going to high school, your whole track career, going to a prestigious university, and making it all the way to the Olympic trials and to the Olympics.
Right.
And then, and then kind of to where you are now, owning your own company. So if you could kind of start us with what that journey was like, that'd be great, man.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it has been a journey, and it all started when I was a young man in Jamaica. I have three brothers, and we lived in a very nice home back in Kingston, Jamaica. My dad had a business, and it involved trucking, which was basically bringing produce and flour and things like that from the city to the country. So he had his business, and as a young man, I saw a lot of that and what he did and everything. So early on in my life, I knew I was going to own my own business one day because I saw what it meant. I saw what the work generated in terms of if you're willing to work, you're willing to focus on what you do well, anything is possible. So let's move on. We're going through school. We're living a normal life. And I was privileged. We had a 7-bedroom house. We had 2 maids. We had a gardener. And so my life was pretty simple. I would wake up in the morning. It's a Tuesday. And my helper, maid, she knew exactly what I needed on Tuesday for breakfast. And all I had to do is walk in the kitchen. It was there. It was prepared. And I would consume my meal and go about my schooling. Came home. Once again, my snack was there, was ready to go. So life was very easy for a young Jamaican boy living in a Guy family. And so everything is going well. In the early 70s, I'm not sure if you understood what happened in Jamaica, but Castro was starting to influence a lot in Jamaica in the politics. He was helping build roads, building schools, all this thing, and the politics, a lot of killings, and it was starting to get crazy. And I remember in the early 70s, my dad on Sunday at dinner told us, "Boys, we're leaving Jamaica. We're gonna move to the United States." And it was a shock for us at first, and because, Dad, we have everything we need here. We have a house, we have a beautiful garden, we have the beach, we have the mountains, we have the food. Why? And he said, because, and I remember this, he said, United States, if you're willing to obey the law, go to school, anything is impossible in this country, anything. And he said, for you guys, that's what I want for you. So my dad basically gave up his wealth, his life, if you will, the way he wanted to live for us. So that dreadful day, I remember jumping in the back of a truck. I remember our dogs, we had to leave the dogs, and I remember leaving the yard. That's what we call it in Jamaica. Home is your yard. And we drove to the airport, and hence we landed in Miami, and we took that drive from Miami to Houston, Texas. So that's where we landed, in Houston. And like my dad being an entrepreneur, he started another business. And once again in trucking, and started that as his base of earning. And because at that time, to be an immigrant to the United States, you had to demonstrate to the government that you were self-sufficient. There's no handout or...
Things have changed.
Yeah, no welfare. There are no food stamps. There was nothing like that. So we had to work, but work was not foreign to my dad. So it was not something unusual, a new path. It was just, okay, he had to study the business, understand what he needed to do, and he did it, which gave us the opportunity to live quite a different life as a young boy from Jamaica, from the best to now we have to figure it out. So my dad would travel a lot, And so my mom at the time was living in New York because she was our sponsor to get to the United States from Jamaica. So she was still working in New York. My dad is on the road, so it was myself, my three brothers, and we had to learn everything. But remember one thing, we were spoiled. We never had to cut onions. We never had to boil water. We never had to do anything because of our lifestyle back in Jamaica. So you talk about time to step up and own your future. And that's what we had to do. And we had to do it as a team. So my three brothers and I, we had to learn how to make breakfast, make our lunch, make our dinner, learn how to wash our clothes, and did all that while trying to assimilate in this country at the same time. So that's a big.
Do you remember how old you guys all were when that happened?
Oh, it was about 10 years of age. I was 10. My youngest brother was 9. And I have two older, Lochinvar, he was 2 years older, and Halstead was 1 year older. So
you were right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Yeah. Right in the middle. So it was a daunting period, but it was a journey though. Yeah. We knew there's going to be if we did the right thing, like my dad said, study, obey the law, there's going to be something good at the end of this process. And so we kept that in mind. And hindsight looking back, we never had a choice. How could you fail your parents what they gave up for you? So There was never a choice. It's a matter of what path we wanted to choose, each one of us. So, a little story. I remember first day at school, you guys like this. I thought we had the best clothes. Oh, I had the best shirt. I had the best pants, best, you name it. Coming from a pretty privileged life in Jamaica. Guys, I tell you this, I was probably 4 years behind the time. I had bell bottoms. It was a polyester. It was such an awkward moment walking into school. 7th grade, I was walking in for homeroom, identify my homeroom, and I looked around, and you talk about being in the wrong spot at the wrong time. It was a completely weird moment, but once again, it just stuck in my mind. Okay, you have to prepare. You have to prepare for the moment, for whatever events you're going to have in your life. Prepare for it. And that moment is what taught me that one lesson. Prepare. Interesting. And I've done that. So the journey from there, guys, was pretty simple. We did our normal thing. Went through life, school, did on weekends, mowing grass to earn some income and so forth. And I do remember one incident in my life that changed Gawain as a person. And I remember our dad didn't leave us enough lunch money one time. And I remember, my God, how am I going to have lunch? And I remember breaking my piggy bank. It was a ceramic piggy bank. It was an elephant, and it was ceramic. And I remember breaking that guy just to have my lunch money. So those little experiences built a foundation in me. And I told myself, I will never be who I am in the future. I will never be in a position where I have to rely on a piggy bank, now what you would probably refer to as savings or whatever the case may be, to eat or survive or whatever the case may be. So the journey, Jamaica, the schooling, breaking my piggy bank, all those little building blocks of life lessons is what made me who I am today. And, and people will say, God, that was kind of a rough life, childhood or experience. And I say, I disagree. It's the journey, it's experience that makes you who you are, and value the experience that I experience every day. Doing this, for example, meeting you guys and talking, you got to appreciate those things.
Yeah.
And but you got to remember in the moment. You got to appreciate in the moment, not a week from now, 2 weeks from now. Appreciate what you're doing right now at this very moment, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. So from there, guys, I was in 7th grade, field day, what they call PE day, and it was running around all these different sports. And they had one event where you ran around the parking lot, and that parking lot was basically a 440 yard back in the day, 440 yards. And I competed, and I did pretty well. And the track coach looked at me and said, "Gawain, have you ever thought about running track?" And I said, "No." And that was the first entree into the sport of track and field. And from there, if there is a God, I mean, he supported me, because from that point in my life to where I'm now, I don't think I would have anything. And compared, I would not be in the spot I am without that sport. It carried me through life in so many different ways, from finding a place, a belonging in the United States. It incorporated my friends. It incorporated a relationship with my friends' friends. Um, it fostered discipline. What sports, for the most part, name it, football, basketball, there's a discipline that goes along with every sport. It varies a little bit, but track and field is not a sport that requires the crowd to motivate you. It requires a lot of inner discipline, what you're trying to achieve. And it's you. It's you and your personal goals. And it's up to you to work and dream and sacrifice to achieve those goals. So once I knew I had the talent, boy, I latched onto that thing. I latched onto that sport, and nothing was going to deter me from taking that talent and bringing me through a process, which I knew in my mind, college was an avenue that was available to me if I was able to succeed on the sports level, on the track and field basis, as well as your education.
Yeah. It feels like, coming to America, there's a cultural shock there,
Right.
Along with some financial instability.
Mm-hmm.
And you found track, and it maybe was a point of stabilization for you. It was something that was stable, and you were good at it.
Right.
And is that what allowed you to dream? Was that something that you had, or did you have that already in you, or was that something that was learned through all the time, the trials and tribulations of coming to America, those things?
I think it was a dream. It's in life, when you dream of something, when you think of how you look at something you want to accomplish, it creates that mission in your mind, and from there, it's a simple process in my mind. What does it take to get from here to there, and what does it require? And that's all you have to do for the most part. Once you have those building blocks established, then all you have to do is execute. So that's how I look at life. That's how I look at my relationship with my wife, my kids, my work career. It's very simple. You don't have to overthink it, but it's probably more important to execute. And so the execution part, I had a dream. I knew what I had to do. And so my ninth grade year, my dad decided to move from my eighth grade to my ninth year, from a school which I knew I had the opportunity with the right coach, the right teammates to succeed, moved from the south side of Houston to the north side of Houston. And
New set of trials.
new set of trials, another hurdle in my dream. So this hurdle was not in that process. It just stumbled. And guys, that was probably the lowest point of my life. I have to say my ninth grade, because we were uprooted within a new country. And
As soon as you get your bearings, it's all changing again.
it's changed. So once again, building blocks was there. I said, I've got to do this. And so my day consisted of the following: wake up, had breakfast, go to school. I would work out after school. I would then go to work. That's my way of making some income. Home, study, go to bed, and repeat that process. The only problem we had with that was that I lacked a coach that had any knowledge of track and field, how to train an athlete. I lacked the teammates to help me, to push me, and I lacked friends, because I was so occupied in just living the life day to day. So that was probably my lowest point in my life. But what it did the next step, it was a journey that really put me on the right track. After my ninth grade year, after ninth grade, I decided I'm going to move from the north side to the south side back to my old neighborhood. And I knew the day of reckoning will come when I wanted to talk to my dad about this. And he, which I did, and he said, Gawain, if you decide to do this, you're on your own.
How old were you at the time, Gawain?
Beg your pardon?
How old were you at the
15,
time?
probably, right?
Yeah,
15?
15. And I said, Dad, this is an opportunity. If I don't pursue this, Dad, I think will fail in having an opportunity to go to college to further my education and a life I want to build. And he said, Gawain, if you do this, you're on your own. And those are the hardest words from a parent, not having support. That's hard. That's hard.
Were you the most independent of your brothers, would you say? Like, did anyone else have, kind of reckonings like that with your father?
No, because their paths were different. My oldest brother was on the military track. After high school, he went into the Air Force. Halstead was also a track and field runner, but his was geared towards the oil industry. And then Garth, my youngest, was just he was just a baby, and 2 years younger, but just living. So I had to think about that comment from my dad, and I said, well, what did I do? And once again, I had a dream. I had the building blocks. All I had to do was execute. So I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm leaving. I'll find a way, but I'm leaving. And he, so I have a good friend back in the old neighborhood. His name is Sammy Shimfessel. Never forget him. He's like a brother to me. He is my brother from another mother, And he said, Gawain, oh my God, just pack your bags and come on down. You're covered, man. You're good. And so I took him exactly for what he said. The words were important.
I didn't think you were going to come, man.
Words were important. So I did. I packed my bag. I jumped in my car and I drove down to Dobie High School in that neighborhood, in Sagemont, and showed up at the door. And I knocked on the door. And Sam, he looked at me, and I looked at him. I said, "I'm here." And oh my God, he was. Oh, I got to talk to my dad. And his name was Big Red. And Big Red was a man of, God, I wish you could meet him. He was an outstanding individual. And it just turned out that his family chemistry was somewhat challenging with the kids and what was going on in their family's life. But Big Red knew Sammy had an opportunity in life, but he needed discipline. He needed someone to be, to guide him, show him, help him by watching others. And Big Red, to his credit, man, said, Gawain, you can stay with us. And he accepted me. And and you talk about faith, a blessing, call it what you may, but boy, I needed that. I needed that decision to be made that day to be where I am today. Because without that, I'm not sure where I would be. So, once again, I'm in a different house, old neighborhood, waking up, going to school, working, work, homework, to bed. And that was my life. But I was in a more secure environment. I had friends. I had what you could call a normal life. Would you say? That's pretty normal. Not to that degree, but I consider it normal. I knew nothing different. So I was blessed, and we then went on a roll, track and field, individually, as a team. We were one of the top programs in the state of Texas, top programs in the United States. We were ranked nationally as a team, nationally as individuals, and we just built a very excellent program with the right person. Coach John Bryan was the right person to have this talent around him, and was a man of wool words. He didn't say a lot, but his actions meant a lot to us. And so John Bryan was our leader, our champion, And a quick story about John, how I respected him and how he respected us, and my personal relationship with him. When I was the day I was inducted into the Rice Hall of Fame, I had a speech. I was ready to go. I was going to do the rah. I had my vision, and all I had to do was execute. And Coach Brian was introducing me to the crowd, who this young man, Gawain guy, and he said, "Man, a few words." He said, "There's not much I can say about Gawain guy, but I'll tell you how important he is to me as a coach, a father, and a grandfather. I have an 8x10 of my 2 grandkids inside of my bed. I'd have a picture of that young man over there, Gawain guy." It just, I thought I was here. I was this high, and after those words, he just brought me down to a level of just being real. And yeah, from that point,
Yeah.
you have to be real. Never think more of yourself. But he's a good man, and he's guided me.
Yeah.
I love him for it.
It's super poignant and touching. It's a life-defining moment with all the success that you've had. That's probably the one thing you always reach back for, right?
It is, and it was, and a blessing is having people around you, like the Greg Johnsons, like the Sammys, like all the fellow track athletes. They were a support team, but Coach Brian was a guy that just never gave you the opportunity to have a big head. And remember, you're part of a team, and team matters. And without that, life becomes harder. And those are the values and the experience I take into my life, my kids, my company. You lead by example, and that's what I've been doing ever since. So, going back, the sport, being my journey from Jamaica, the sport, the obstacles that were in my way really has built me into this person I am. And so I cherish people. I'm people-centric. So you ask my wife, if I meet someone for the first time, I want to know about who you are. I want to build that relationship, and it's always been who I am. So my company, I'm the VP of Sales, Marketing, and Principal. But sales, marketing, it's just a word. Sales is having that unique talent to meet people and make them feel comfortable. And I think every one of you guys you want to be noticed, you be acknowledged. And if you have that innate ability to bring that out in people, you're selling. You're selling, and it's natural. It's gotta feel natural, and not be a scripted verse when you meet someone and you're trying to sell a product or whatever the case may be. So that my life is really all the experiences brought all the experience I've had growing up, and it's brought me to where I am today. And I'm blessed. I have a great family. I have great kids. I have a great company. I have great work. Our employees are great. And you remember I talked about my dad being an entrepreneur? If you were to look at C&T Design and Equipment Company, our model is so unique. We have probably 62 private companies within our company, if that makes any sense. We don't look at our employees as a salesperson. They're a business unit. And our job as an owner is to empower you as a business unit. How much marketing do you need to market your business? How much capital do you need? How can we help you market your brand? And so that's our mission. And when you find individuals who have that innate entrepreneurial spirit behind them, and you give them the platform, they have to create their own dreams. They have to have that vision. Now you got to execute. And that's what all we have to do at that point is help them execute. And boy, when you have that lined up, get out of their way and let them do their thing. And that's been the blessing. We are not micromanagers. We're on the macro level. And numbers don't lie. We'll sit down every quarter and we'll look at your numbers, and we're more of a mentor. We want to help you succeed. And I can tell you the model in our industry is unique. It's our competitors will come to us and say, why would you give away so much of your wealth, your earnings, your income? And so why not? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want someone that's self-driven and look at their job as a career, not a job, but a career? They see a future. They see a door they can earn as much as they want to earn. And why would you take that away from them? So
Well, you see it in a frame of ROI. Your
Right.
return on your investment is
Right.
amazing, right?
yeah, it's unreal. It's unbelievable. And our retention rate at our company, it's one of the highest in our industry. And people still look at us as you can make more. And I said, we are making more. We are making more. We have great people. We have a legacy, and we are helping our team live a quality life. They can do things, as they should. And they're the workers. They're the heart of the company, and they should be rewarded. But they control it. They control it, and we're there to support them. And in addition to that, I think we built it's a male-dominated industry. So when you go and build a restaurant in a hotel, a casino, a prison, and you go to a job trailer, it's all males. It's the general contractor, the superintendent, the architect, the structural engineer, you name it. It's all males. And I can say to our credit that we have 2 or 3 females in our company who are top performers. And they know their value and they know their worth. And you better, I equate it to a Bobby Knight. Don't ask a stupid question. Because they will, and it's amazing. And they've earned so much respect. And they see value in who they are as a female in a male-dominated industry. And if you guys were in my position, you have a girl, you have daughters in particular, to see the confidence in them. And when they walk into a trailer, a job site, there's just a sense of recognition that, hey, this young lady here she is the real deal. So own up to what your job is and do what you're supposed to do. And she makes everyone accountable. And one in particular, her name is Emily McLennan. And if I'm not prepared to ask a specific question of why I'm in her office, she will call me out. And she has. I said, Gawain, I'm too busy right now. If you have a question, come back and
Hey man, I own this place.
Yeah. No, but it's that feeling. They have ownership. They have ownership. But we laugh about it. But that's what you want them to have. They understand now why we have to have insurance. Why we have to have good health insurance. Why we have to do this and all these rules for employee. You can't say this, you can't say that in the workplace. They understand it. So it's
well, you've
fun.
created a situation where everybody's taking ownership and they appreciate what you've built.
Right.
Because they get a chance to be along there with you.
Right. Exactly. It's such a rewarding position to be in. And I'm at an age now, at a point in my career, I want to evolve to be more mentoring and doing the work. They say, at a certain point, when you grow a company, you have to be in the company. You have to be in the trenches. Now we're at a point where we're working on the company, and we're going through that phase. I'm coming through the tail end of that phase. Now I want to be, I think, in a position where I'm mentoring the young talent and helping them have that building block in place and help them tackle that. So it's just where I am in life. And,
Legacy stage.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good way of saying it. But once again, I keep it real. If you were to walk in C&T Design, there is no layers between our team and us as being the owners. There's zero, and that's being it real. We don't have fancy offices. We don't have. You got to talk to 3 people before you get to us. They can text me. They can call me. One thing I'm going to execute, which something I've had in my mind for several years, is to invite all the salespeople with kids to come to the lake house. And I'm going to be their ambassador that day. I'm going to cook for them. I'm going to feed them. I'm going to take them on the boat, all the rides and all the, all the playing in the water. So that's fun. That is fun because that's it's real. It's not fake. They're seeing that I care about them. I want to care about your family, your kids, and I think when you have people that really believe that the company cares about who they are as an individual, it means something. There's value there.
Yeah.
But there's real value and there's fake value, and I have to make sure it's real. Yeah. So it's been a fun ride, guys, and I hope I continue to live life, make it real, meet great people, and continue to have experiences along the way.
Yeah. I don't know if you can share this, Gawain. I thought it's just a great, funny story. And the one you told me last night about something sitting in a seat and you wanted to see the reaction.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yes,
All
yes. Right. So, guys, early on, when you think about interviewing someone, what's the best way? You have a piece of paper and they have, they're spend a fair amount of time in putting down in black and white exactly who they are, education, everything, right? Experiences, where they've worked, all this stuff. And in sales, when you're in sales, there is almost like a robot type behavior. You're taught in sales that if this person says this is how you count it. This is your response. Da 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 da.
Script.
It's scripted the whole way. And in our business, when you're dealing with who are your customers, there are architects, there are general contractors, there are the end users, there are owner's rep. There is not one person or entity you can look at in our business and say that's your customer. So you need someone that has what we call flexibility. It cannot be scripted. So how do you accomplish that? So you have to put that person in that position. And so, and this seat I'm sitting in right here, it's designed to where once you put pressure on that seat, there's going to be a noise that comes out of that. And the person can do one or two things. They're going to freeze in that moment, or they're going to play on it. And if that person plays on that situation, that's right there. It's a plus, probably two pluses in okay. This is someone we're gonna keep talking to, because that's life. That is life, and you have to have the wit about you and the character about you to be that person, and that's part of my strategy.
Hopefully,
I don't think it's legal now.
You have a sense of humor.
Exactly, and I think it was Kelly Thomas, the founder of Southwest. If you understand the culture of Southwest, they're fun. They say certain things on the phone. They make fun of people. They just have fun, and that's natural, right? It's a natural. You either have it in you or not, and so. That I took a play off that. So, but it's been fun. And but now today, the rules of engagement and rules of employment, I don't think allow you to do that. So, but we were talking about making it real. So the journey of buying C&T. So to finish the story, so school is over with. I was fortunate enough to get a full scholarship at Rice, and I went through and had a successful education there, as well as track and field career. And I ran, for the Jamaican Olympic team, and I tried for the United States, didn't make it. But it brought me to a point in life where, okay, this part of my life is over with. And so what is my next step? And going back to what I said early on, I'm going to own my own company one day. And how do you do that? So once again, I have to build this vision. How do I do that? And so what's the best way to see companies and see which one I may be attracted to, their performance, all that stuff? Well, the best way to see under the skirt for any company is to be a financial analyst at a bank. Because as an analyst, you see all the numbers. You see strategies that they've put in place. You see generational wealth, what's worked, what's failed. So it was really seeing a privilege to be looking under the skirt to see and understand and appreciate companies and how
That's a very unique, deliberate way of like planning your strategy. Like most people fall into it out of dumb luck. You actually were like researching like which one of these places am I going to take down?
Right. No, right. Call it a little bit of a luck, but someone guided me on that. How do you see that? What a restaurant does, what a hotel, all these different entities. So yes, it was a little bit of luck, but someone guided me into that role and said, become an analyst, become the best analyst, but you will see different companies. And that's what I did. And once again, opportunity in front of me. One of my clients, I worked my way from a analyst to a VP for the bank as a commercial lender, and I had my own portfolio of clients. And one of those clients was C&T Design, and like going back sales, right? You have to make it real. You have to make the client feel like you're such a partner for their business. And I did that to all my clients, but one in particular was C&T and the owner, Roger and Dee Carter. And we had the greatest relationship. I would take my wife and my kids and my dog and go to their farm and ride the big tractors and did a lot of stuff. But that was a relationship we had. And but there was one thing Roger had and he couldn't solve, and that was succession for his company. And his kids were not involved. They had no interest. So he had to transition his company. And so the light went off, and I said, this is it. It was a good company, generational company, very successful on a financial basis. The building blocks were there to scale a company. So all those building blocks were there. So the one night I said, Roger D, I'd like to take you out for dinner, not as a banker, as an individual. And so my wife and I took Roger and Dee to dinner, steak and ale, which doesn't exist anymore, I don't think. And we sat down and I asked a question, that dreaded moment. I said, Roger, I'd like to buy your company. And he looked at me. He looked at Dee. They both looked at me and they started to giggle. Now, just for a point, what do you do?
He was going to give it to you.
No,
He's like, no, I got this guy wanting to buy it.
What would you do?
Where you overpaid for it?
Yeah. What would you do? I said the giggle is either a good giggle or bad. It could go either way, right? So sales, you just okay. So in sales, at that point, don't say a word, Gawain. You just be quiet.
He who speaks first loses.
Yeah. And Roger and Dee said, Gawain, we were hoping that you would say that to us. You're the person that we were enjoy having a conversation about buying our company. And it was just faith a little bit. I know, but we got along so well. And that was it. And so the journey started there. And I knew at the time I needed a partner to pull this transaction off. And I had a friend, when we had an agreement, if you see something, Mike, let me know. I'm in with you. If you see something, let me know. I'm in with you. And so I brought Mike into the conversation, and I had to introduce Mike to Roger and Dee, and explain who he is, his background, and everything. And I'm telling you guys, since we purchased the company in 1996, I remember the stack of documents with AI.
Oh my goodness.
And we're 2024. We paid off the company many years ago, but we never once had to go to those documents to resolve a situation or a dilemma. But we made a promise to each other. And there's a third partner that was inside the business as well. So three of us. But we made a promise, and it goes back to being my coach. Be humble, be real, and what he told us. Our agreement at the time was being in banking, unseen success and failures, greed, and ego. You put those two characteristics of a human being together, that's a guaranteed failure. You make decisions on greed and ego, you're not making the right decisions. So we made a pact every day. We cannot bring greed or ego into our decision-making process. And when you're a partner of three, sometimes you're going to be outvoted. But if you believe that your partner's made a decision, notwithstanding greed or ego, then I'm okay. And since 1996, I can tell you, my two partners were best of friends. We agree 65-70% of the time, but we disagree on the remaining. But it's how you disagree. It's how you go through that process. And it's been a blessing. So that's one of the core disciplines that we have amongst my two other partners. And we live it day to day. Day one in C&T as an owner, you know what I did my first 3-4 months as an owner? I was an installer. I came in with jeans, boots, shirt. I had to learn the business inside out. I had to see what the hell are we selling? What are these guys? Where are we delivering this stuff to? How are they delivering it? And in that journey, build relationships with the back of the house, the workers, our installers. So you can't put yourself on this ivy tower. You've got to be with the people.
That's culture. You're building the culture you want.
Right. Yes, you have to. You got to show them that you're not above that. You can get in the ditches and work and feel what they're feeling, because once you feel that, then you're empowered to do something about it. But you've got to feel it. You got to. Sometimes it's dirty, but you need to be dirty. And it's been the way it's worked. And Mike and Mark, you talk about two guys that are so humble. Mike, basically our CFO, I could give Mike $12 million a day. And I said, Mike, I need that in 5 years, and that money will be there. He's honest as the day is long. His family was strong, Catholic, fundamental, what's right, family, your faith, work, friends, and never one to boast about its success or whatever. Success, it's a hard thing to define, but to me, success is when someone looks at you and said, the way I look at it, I look at someone and say, man, that's really cool what this person's done. To admire someone, I don't, to showboat yourself and say, I'm this guy. I'm not that guy. I tend to look and admire people, what they've done and accomplished. And so I hope that's somewhat of a flavor I give off. I want someone to say, that guy did it the right way. He did it the right way, and probably could have done more, but he's left a legacy. And that's be the blessing I would want to have. People could see that in me. And, I hope I've done the right things. And the most precious assets I have is my wife and my kids. And my kids all had to work. Never a silver platter. And I think that's part of they have to understand what a dollar's worth.
Do you think it was valuable coming from a privileged situation and then kind of having it stripped away? A lot of people, like, it's a testament to you and the person you are that you took that as a challenge and you wanted to, maybe get it back or, have it in a different way. But do you feel like it was it's definitely part of your journey, but do you feel like that's like, there's a lot of value in that, like having it taken away, being put in these tough situations that you had to, fight your way and work your way out of?
I would say yes. Seeing the privilege and not having it, I think, boy, oh my goodness, it did, I think, have value and determine I have to get back to that lifestyle. There's no doubt that everyone wants to have a good lifestyle. There's variation in what that lifestyle could be based on who you are as an individual. But I knew one thing. I knew I had to build a lifestyle for my wife and my 3 kids. And from there, everything else is gravy for me. So, yes, I think that had a lot to do with to see that. And I think it had a lot to do with my drive. A good part of it, but you saw the fruits, okay, of someone's labor. Mm-hmm. I knew that by working hard, I can get back to having those fruits. But you have to work. Work. Someone said, Gawain, that's so much work. Work is not. It's not a word I'm afraid of. It's comforting actually. So I hope my kids see that. I hope Nicholas, Emily, Hannah, they understand that work should become a partner in who you are. Run towards it, not away from it.
Did your dad grow up with beans? Was he wealthy growing up in Jamaica, or did he kind of come from nothing and create that life for you guys?
So my dad was one of 13 in Jamaica, and at that time in history, your kids were your workers. So hence and I think that's part of American history as well. So yes, so my dad really plantation and taking care of the fields, the bananas, the coffee, all that stuff. Yeah, didn't have much wealth, and so my dad was the first though to branch off and lead the family business to start his own business, which was the trucking. And I can recall my grandfather was very upset, very angry at my father. And it turned out my father was did very well for himself and was, if you will, the what do you call it? The head of the family. The when someone
Patriarch?
patriarch. Thank you. The patriarch of the family. He supported all the siblings to some degree, and so I think that step was necessary. But and I've seen that. As I said, as a young man, I saw my dad working and building the business and what he did for his family. So having wealth is an interesting thing. What do you do with wealth? Do you just keep it to yourself or do you share? And if you look at my life with the CNT, we share our wealth. In my personal life, I do help my family, but it's how you help. I'd like to give a hand up. I like to. I don't. Here's X amount of money. Do whatever you want to do with it. It's more of what are you going to do with this? Try to build something with it. So it's always in the mode of do something good. So that's the mindset. But going back to your original question, having privilege and not having it, I think does create that desire to recreate it.
Yeah. And so when you decided to make that change and leave your family to go live with your friend, like, was that a fracture in you and your father's relationship, or did he kind of understand it because he did the same thing?
Oh, that's such a great question. It was a fracture. I remember now, I've from the ninth grade through to my 12th grade, I've competed in a lot of meets in Houston, outside of Houston, and across the country. My dad came to only one meet in my entire career. One. And but he came to a meet. Was my last race of my senior year in high school. It was the Golden West Invitational in Sacramento, California, and it was all the top milers in the country, the top fastest milers in the country. And at that time, I was second. So this race determined the national champion at high school miler, and turned out my dad was there. So let's say the race started. I was in the race competing, and sure enough, I was in second place. And a good for I was probably without my dad being there, I probably would have been at second. But I had my dad. He was in the stand. Yeah, so that was motivation that really gave me that extra drive, because I had to show him the decision paid off. My dad, it paid off, and it did. And so I ended up winning the race. I can remember, he ran down the.
That's a movie right there.
Yeah,
man.
he ran down the steps, jumped across the fence, and came in the field and hugged me. And so it's. Parents make decisions, and sometimes they're wrong, and sometimes they're right. But there's a saying in life. Where you are in your life, you're dealt a card. You're playing poker, right? This is the best hand I have, and I've got to play the best hand going forward. And that's the attitude I took. I have zero regrets about my father not supporting me. It's a journey. It's made me who I am. So I have zero regrets. And I hope if I was in that situation, I hope, I'm not sure I would react. Really, if my son said, "Hey, Dad, I'm leaving," let's say it's gymnastics, I can go to Oklahoma City and train with the best team, but I'm leaving home and doing it with or without you. Um, I'm not sure I would react. I think I would tend to try to, okay, let's see how we can make this work. What's the long-term vision of this? We will walk through logically and see if we still arrive at that decision. And if we did, I think I would support him. But if not, I think I would probably make a stand somewhere. And that's what I do with everyone. Where does a decision take you? Every decision in life leads you somewhere. And I think it's important that you think about it. For every action you do, there's a legacy you leave with that action. And people, it's either someone's going to admire you about it, someone's going to hate you for it. It's going to destroy a relationship. It's going to do all these things. So you have to think through that. So one of my messages to my wife and my kids and my friends now, I can't carry people's baggage anymore. I can't. I'm not going to allow that because it's a detriment to my happiness and to be selfish to a certain degree. But my job, I feel like if I can help that person, I will, but I cannot carry the baggage. Boy, it's such a weight off your shoulder. I can sleep better at night. I can, I'm happier. I just feel I'm floating in air. I just don't have the weight, and that's carry, and that's for you guys are much younger than I am. You have that journey in your life, and that's a decision you guys have to make. Carry someone's baggage. If you can share your wealth, share your knowledge, even at this point in your life, I think it's you ought to do it and do it as often as you can. So it's yeah. So I'm in a good spot. I'm very blessed to still be married after 30 years with my wife. The journey that we've taken, and I just told a friend 2 days ago, I spent more time with my wife the last 10 years than the first 20.
That's cool.
And we're still getting along. So
bonus.
No. And my daughter, to see the kids now, my oldest is married and she's building her life with Nicola, who I hope one day you will meet, and Hannah in the professional world and Nicholas in the financial world. So, you write a script and what's your family, future. And I think the building blocks is there for them to have a successful life.
Yeah.
So I'm blessed.
Yeah, back to legacy.
Back to yes. And I hope, my kids look at me and say, work. What is work? Work is nothing. Work is my partner. I hope they understand work it's a means to an end. So don't fear it. Don't fear what it has to what the challenges work has to offer, but embrace it. Because if you do the right job and you're disciplined about it and you have a conviction where it will end, you will have positive results. And that's how you have to think. So that's why I hope I've instilled in my kids, and I hope the day they have to say something about me when I'm leaving this world.
It's a very fine line between being able to give your kids everything that they want and having them be able to build that work ethic along that.
Right.
You want them to have all the privileges and you want them to have the best opportunities.
Correct.
But for them to be able to execute on it,
right,
you have to instill that work.
Right. And I'll share a little family secret right now. So, we sponsor through our church. We sponsor an orphanage in Honduras, and it's for, and we've done this for years. So. And then we sponsored 2 kids financially, one kid in Honduras and one in Guatemala. And I failed to go to the orphanage. My wife has been, all my kids have been, and now they're on me to Dad, you need to go to the orphanage. For a lot of reasons, but one, to see a sponsor that looks like them, to see you look like them. And I think for the kids, they see there's value in that, Dad. And so that's one of my commitments in 2025 to do that. So I will go to Honduras. I will follow up with on seeing the village and seeing the leadership there and seeing the kids. And it's a very successful program, giving the kids a chance to improve their lives in their country.
Well, Gawain, this has been one of the easiest podcasts I've ever done.
Oh,
and one of the most inspirational, man. So kudos to you. This has been amazing.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. As I said, this is the first rodeo I'm doing something like this, and it's you allowed me to share probably. You allowed me to share my life and part of it in a way. And
you know what's amazing is you were in the Olympics and we didn't even talk about it.
Yeah,
I know.
That's the cool thing. Like that's a testament to like the life that you've been able to put together and live.
Right.
You know, like that's a career life defining moment for most people, and we really didn't even get a chance to get into it. And this was an amazing time.
Right. It's it goes to show you. I'll end by saying this to your point. Going back to when I was being inducted in the Rice Hall of Fame, I had that speech, and my coach brought me down. My speech resolved nothing to do with track and field. It involved how my roommate at Rice University, I gave him zero chance in a relationship. He's from Tupelo, Mississippi. I was from Jamaica. He was a football player, which I despise, a lineman I despise, because I needed a partner for education. I've got to achieve my education. I gave zero respect for football players in trying to do that. And when I first saw that man, Bruce Lloyd, I looked at him. My first words, not welcome to Rice, not welcome to Houston. I just basically finished putting up a hammock in my room. This guy was 300 pounds. And I looked at Bruce. I said, Bruce, I wouldn't advise that you get in this hammock. That was my first words. And it all boils down to relationship. To this day, Bruce Lloyd, I married my daughter. So the journey is powerful, guys. It really is. Yeah, so, yeah, it's been a good ride. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Gawain, thank you.
All right. All the best, guys.
Yeah.